Look, investors, look, Meta is down because TikTok is literally eating its lunch, right? Like, there is no doubt in my mind, Mark Zuckerberg, for the first time ever, looked vulnerable last night. I mean, Mark literally said, we are being impacted by TikTok. They are so big and growing so fast. Even as we pivot, we don't know if it will be enough. That's what Meta said. Like, Snapchat is not a direct competitor to TikTok. Investors have been fearful for 2.5 years now that TikTok was going to kill Snapchat. What they forget, and is really important, Wilfred, is that Snapchat is first and foremost a communications platform. That is very different. TikTok is entertainment first and is much more like Facebook, certainly much more like Instagram and YouTube. And I think that's what investors got wrong.
And so why is Snap doing so well in a relative sense this quarter? Is it also down to planning better, or is it just lucky that it's in a slightly different part of the market?
I think it's because users are gravitating towards it. I mean, they're talking about a high teens growth rate in users, even in Q1. Like, consumers love Snapchat. This is not about, like, they're gravitating towards TikTok. They're gravitating towards Snapchat. They're moving away from platforms like Instagram and Facebook. Like, it's not just TikTok hurting Meta. It's Snapchat hurting Meta. There's no doubt about it that it is a core communications platform, and it's expanding in its age and demos, and Snapchat is giving people more to do. Did IDFA hurt? It did, but they're actually recovering faster than investors realized, and everyone just lumped them in and said, oh, Meta's getting killed by TikTok. Everyone's getting killed by TikTok. That is just factually not true, and that was the mistake people made.
But it's not just getting killed by TikTok. What about Apple? They both are getting hurt by Apple, aren't they? Facebook said it cost them, what, $10 billion, the iOS platform changes. Snapchat has warned in the past that it was affected by that as well.
There's no doubt that the growth rates, I mean, remember, if you listened to Evan Spiegel not too long ago, he was talking about why they could grow revenues at 50% plus for years, literally years to come. Obviously, their growth rates are below that. As Sarah, as you just pointed out, IDFA and Apple's changes definitely had an impact. And there's no doubt that Evan and his team made a mistake. They did not do what they should have done to pivot away from Apple fast enough. The reality, though, is they're moving very quickly now. And I think what the street, and one of the things the street is obviously reacting to, is that the change is actually happening faster than they expected at Snapchat. And that's a real positive. Remember, there's a big difference. Snapchat has a relatively small group of advertisers, probably hundreds of thousands of advertisers, mostly big brands. They don't have those long tail small businesses that are really struggling. And that's what's driving that $10 billion number at Meta, is the small businesses are being more impacted than the large brands who are helping to figure this out faster, both on Meta as well as on Snapchat. So I think that different type of advertiser pool in this case is actually an advantage for Snapchat versus Meta.
What's your take on Pinterest?
Look, Pinterest is clearly oversold. Do they have real challenges in trying to figure out how they navigate the future? Absolutely. They've had a lot of management turnover. But I think, again, people have just thrown out this entire sector. I mean, Twitter's gotten crushed. Everyone has gotten crushed on the fear of what's happening in the ad market, the digital ad market. And specifically, after what happened last night, everyone just gave up and sold the whole sector. That was clearly the wrong read. And I think, what's going to be really interesting is how investors sort of start to look at these companies more individually versus and what their issues are, then look at this whole sector and just say, God, this whole sector is dead.